we're going to follow this.
You guys reading this in English? The book's in English?
Of course. Do you speak Hebrew?
A little bit.
So if we went to the Hebrew text, would you be able to understand what we're saying?
For the most part, yeah.
If I say Yahweh by Shini Awashai, what did I just say?
I have no idea.
Okay then, all right. I'm speaking Ecclesiastes. What's your nationality?
Sorry?
What's your nationality?
What do you mean?
What's your nationality? Your ethnicity?
Italian. What about you?
Well, your father is Italian?
Sicilian.
Okay, well, never mind.
Why?
We out here to teach the black, Hispanic, and Native Americans that Christ only died for them.
He's the only guy for them.
Yeah, that Christ only died for the Israelites.
Israelites.
Right. You ever heard of the Israelites?
Yeah. That's the Jews.
What you know about it?
Huh?
Right, that's the Jews. So you think the people in the land today are the Jews?
Yeah.
You think so? Go to Luke 21:24.
Israel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Luke 21:24. Let's see. Let's see if they fit biblical prophecy.
This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Right, it said they shall fall by the edge of the sword. Talking about
They
the real
lost.
Jews.
They ain't no doubt
talking about
they
the real
lost.
Jews. Read.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
When did the so-called Jewish man go into captivity in all nations? That never happened to them, right? Read.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
It said Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Read.
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So whoever is in the land today are Gentiles. They're not the real people. You know the transatlantic slave trade, you know about that?
I heard that.
Right, you know that's in the Bible? That God said that happened to the Israelites? Go to Deuteronomy 28:16. Let us show you something.
That's in Egypt.
Right. That was after Moses freed them from ancient Egypt. He told them that they was going to go
Let me
into
tell you
Egypt
what the
again
Bible
with
says.
ships.
Let me help you out.
Help
All
me
you
out.
need to know,
Help me out.
John 3:16.
John 3:16.
What's it say?
What does that mean?
You tell me. What
God
does it
so
say?
loved the world, right? Now,
That he gave his only begotten Son.
Did Christ make more than one world?
That only the black folks should be saved?
Hold on. Did Christ make more than one world according to the Bible?
Huh?
Did Christ make more than one world according to the Bible? Hebrews 1 and 2.
This is the book of Hebrews.
Whoever shall
Okay, so
believe
you
shall be
say God
saved.
so loved the world, right?
It doesn't say just
This is the
black
book of
people.
Hebrews, chapter
We
1,
didn't say just
verse
black
2.
people. You got Israelites that look white. That's why I asked you what's your nationality when you walked up here. If I was going by skin color, I wouldn't have said nothing to you at all, right? So it's not about skin color. Read.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 1, verse 2. Has in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things.
Right.
By whom also he made the world.
He made the what?
He made the world.
He made the worlds, plural, right? So what world did God so love?
God doesn't
Isaiah
like a white, God hates a
45:17.
white man. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what the Bible says.
Oh,
Listen to this. Go to Romans 9:13. Don't run. Don't run.
What's your name?
Master.
What?
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Master?
This is the book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 13.
Listen to this.
As it is written,
Written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Esau is the biblical nationality of the so-called white man. God just said he hates Esau, right? The wicked flee. Go to Proverbs 28 and 1. Right? Getting cut up. We ain't out here, to be all nice to the heathen.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 1. The wicked flee.
The what?
The wicked flee.
Read.
When no man pursueth. But the righteous are bold as a lion.
Right? It said the wicked flee when no man pursue it. right? Because, you know, he was getting cut up through the Spirit, so he had to get out of there. Go to Hebrews 10:31. What made you come to that ideology?
I mean, doesn't say we're all sheep in his flock.
Go to Jeremiah 15:5. Let's see who the sheep is.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 5. Verse 6. My people have been lost sheep.
Right, my people have been lost sheep. Read.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountains to hills. They have forgotten their resting place.
Right, it said, my people have been lost sheep. Who is God's people of the Bible?
The Jews.
Right, the Jews, right? So you have to show me anywhere else in the Bible where the other nations is called the sheep, right? Because
There's no Christianity before Christ. Most of the Christianity followers now come from Jewish descent. But not all Jewish people follow Christ.
Well, Christianity isn't biblical, right? Christianity isn't biblical. Who is called Christians first? Go to Acts chapter 11, verse 24. The ideology of Christianity is not what the Bible actually teaches. The true Christians are the Israelites that's following the commandments, right? What does Christian mean? I'm sure you know, right? It means to be a follower of Christ. Right? What's your nationality?
I'm Celtic.
Who's that? Celtic?
Yeah.
What's your father's nationality? Celtic?
Yeah, so we're from Ireland, but we're the original people. Pre-British colonization.
Okay, so
We speak Gaelic.
So
Like the people of Jamaica, they're not fully African American. Slaves from Africa and white slaves such as the Celtic or the Indonesian are moved to the island of Jamaica as a holding post. The Jamaican people is actually 3 different races blended into each other.
well, no, the Jamaican people was on the western hemisphere of Africa before they was brought on the transatlantic slave trade.
Into
right? So
Jamaica, right?
Yes, right. So
Also held there was the other colonized slaves. The language of Jamaica is actually broken down, bastardized Celtic. Gaelic.
okay, but I'm saying before that, they knew that there was the Jews. If you look at the western hemisphere of Africa, the so-called white man renamed it to Negro land. Right before the Jamaicans was took in the transatlantic slave trade, if you look on that map, you'll see something called the Kingdom of Judah. Why? Because the Negroes are Israelites. Right? The Jamaicans are Israelites. The Haitians are the so-called African Americans. Right? But what I have, Acts 11:26.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 11, verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch.
Right?
And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first.
Who was called Christians first?
And the disciples were called Christians first.
Right? The disciples was called Christians first. Right? So the true Christians would be the Israelites. You know? Because like I said, Christian means to be a follower of Christ. In Christianity, go to 1 Peter 2:21. In Christianity, they claim they follow Christ, but it says you have to follow by his footsteps. Christ didn't go around teaching you could just willfully sin.
This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called,
Right?
because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps.
That ye should follow after Christ's steps. Remember, I said Christian literally means a follower of Christ. Read.
Who did no sin.
Who what?
Who did no sin.
Who did no sin. Now in Christianity, they teach that the laws is done away with. Right? So they're not actual Christians. We would be the actual Christians. But we just don't associate ourselves with that word anymore because, you know, it's associated with Christianity. Right? And we're completely against Christianity. Right? So we are the true Israelites, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and Christ only died for them. Right? That's what he said out of his own mouth. Go to Matthew 15:24.
Hispanic as in South American prior colonization Hispanic or Spain Hispanic?
The
'Cause it's-
indigenous, not the Spaniards. No.
But Christ never made it to the New World until Spain and Portugal's and France and Italy all
What
brought.
are you trying to say? I don't get what
You said
trying to say.
Hispanic, such as in
Yeah.
South America, Mexico. Those people never met any form of Judaism,
They
Islamic.
didn't? Are you sure? Go to 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. You know that the indigenous people, they wasn't eating pork before being colonized. It's hella
That's because
Hebrew.
there's no pigs native to this side of the world.
Right, and the so-called white man brought them over here, right? And they was speaking Hebrew before being colonized. They was wearing fringes. Where is that found? That's found in the Bible, right? They was literally speaking Hebrew. You know about a lost lunar stone?
No.
Right, that was found in New Mexico. The Mexicans are Israelites from the tribe of Issachar, so they did take on Hebraic customs before being colonized. Now, when you talk about the Spaniards, yeah, the Spaniards, they're not Israelites. Those Hispanics, we're not talking about them. But the Bible actually talks about how the indigenous people, the northern kingdom of Israel, will come over here to the Americas.
It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes
I'm
which
talking
were
about the northern kingdom. Right.
which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters. And so came they into another land.
Right? Read.
But they took this counsel among themselves.
Right, so the northern kingdom, right? They got together, they came up with a plan and read,
That they would lead the multitude of the heathen
right, that they would get from around the Assyrians, so on and so forth. Read.
and go forth into a further country
A further country, right?
where never mankind dwelt.
That's talking about America. And that's how this is a prophecy proving that the indigenous people are Israelites, right? It said they would come to a country never mankind dwelt. So what you do with that?
I mean,
Read on that.
if you look at it historically, it doesn't make any sense because
How?
the Native Americans to the New World, prior to 10,000 BC, they crossed over the landing.
10,000.
So
prior to
10,000.
10,000 BC.
So prior to 10,000 years before Christ, they crossed the Great Landing Bridge, or however you pronounce it. During the Ice Age, there's a block
How is
of
that
ice.
possible when? How is
But
that
they go
possible
from-
when they was in the Assyrian captivity in 720 BC?
So, that's still in the old world. I'm talking about
Okay,
you have
but
the
you said
Chinese
in-
moving
You said in what?
prior to 10,000 BC, so before 10,000 BC.
Okay, but in 720 BC, they was in the Assyrian captivity. So how is it possible?
Where is in Syria?
Assyria? Syria, it's over there. Yeah, it's over there by Israel.
So that's
Yeah.
whole world. So if they're in captivity
Right.
there,
Are you just looking it up on the internet? Or are
No.
you does the Bible say that? Because we argue on the Bible, not what movies say.
the Bible, the first holy book is written by 40 different people over a span of 40 years. Some are dying while others are being born while it's written. You get 40
Genesis?
people. I'm just saying, you get
Genesis is written by Moses. What are you talking about?
we're going to follow based off of just one man.
Yeah, prophecy. The transatlantic slave trade, that's in the Bible. Go to Deuteronomy 28:60. Right? And this how we know that the Jamaicans are Israelites. The Native Americans, because the Native Americans went into slavery on ships as well. This is what Moses did.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28.
Start at verse 60. So, of course we're going to follow this. Hold
You guys
on.
reading this in English? The book's in English?
Of course. Do you speak Hebrew?
A little bit.
So if we went to the Hebrew text, would you be able to understand what we're saying?
For the most part, yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I have a-
Do you speak
I-
the Paleo Hebrew?
Not Paleo Hebrew.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I got a
If I
Bubby
said,
and a Zeta.
If I say Yahweh by Shini Abishai, what did I just say?
Got no idea.
Okay then. Right. And that's simple Paleo Hebrew. That's just God in the name of who the world calls Jesus, right?
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Right, so you telling me we shouldn't listen to this, right? This is a prophecy of the transatlantic slave trade. Read that.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right, you know what the Israelites were doing in ancient Egypt in 1500 BC, right? They was in slavery to the Egyptians and Pharaoh. It said the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, meaning slavery again, with ships. Right?
Read, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
And they want to see their homeland again. Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Read that part again.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
Right, so the transatlantic slave trade is prophesied in the Bible. So why should we listen to Moses if this clearly happened?
There's slave trades in water prior to the transatlantic. You have the
What?
yeah, you have slaves
ships.
with ships.
And being sold to their enemies.
Yes,
As a whole.
Prove that.
as a whole.
Prove that.
Whole nation.
Well, I would say pull up your phone and look up the Greece Spaniard slave trade where they're trading shells for slaves for coins. But you just said earlier that you shouldn't use the internet.
You said the what? Like,
You just Greece, Spain, and there's a third country
who was they
involved.
sold to? Who was they sold
They were
to?
just selling them to each other, trading them for
Each
labor,
other.
wars.
They're the same nation, which would be Edomites. They wouldn't be considered enemies. The enemies of the Israelites is all the 17 other nations. Right? So this wouldn't fit them. Right? They being sold to other Edomites. You know? That wouldn't make sense if God said you would be sold to your enemies. Right? It's not
But I
talking
thought-
about them.
I thought Moses said that.
Moses is telling the Israelites what God said. Moses just wrote it down. It said, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. So he got his information from the Lord. Right? Do you believe those people in the land are the true Israelites?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Right? So,
I mean, isn't that faith?
Yeah.
I don't have the knowledge, but I'm just gonna follow.
I mean, a lot of people believe that. Right?
Yeah, like one dude that we just talked to, he believes that. So we
I
just
mean-
talked to a guy
I mean-
that he believes that.
Whether or not I'm an Israelite or an original Christian, as long as I try to be like Christ, because he says it himself, I'm born in sin, I will live in sin, I will die in sin. But as long as
Christ said he sinned. Did Christ sin?
No, Christ is born without sin, he lived without sin, and the only time he embodiment sin is on the cross, and that's when he says, Father, why have you forsaken me? It's because he lost his ability to speak to the Lord because he's embodying all the sin of man.
All the sin of man, or
All the sin of man.
Acts 5:21. They see if he died on the cross for all men, or was it just for the Israelites?
This is the book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men. The God of our fathers raised up Jesus, whom ye slew and hanged on a tree.
Right?
Him hath God exalted with his right hand, to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel.
To who?
To Israel.
To all men.
To Israel.
Right? So Christ only died for the Israelites. And this is after the death, burial, and resurrection. Right? Read.
And forgiveness of sin.
You know, so he didn't die for all nations. That's not biblical. Right? So you would have to go to a verse and show us what he did.
I mean, it's in the old James, the new James.
The old James.
Is it Old
It's
James?
not.
No, it's Old Testament, then there's New
New
James,
Testament.
and there's
You mean the
New
Old
King.
Testament, New Testament, the Torah, the Tanakh. You know what the Tanakh is?
I know what the Tanakh is.
What is it?
Isn't that the Islamic version?
The
No.
Tanakh is the Old Testament, right? And the Torah is what? The Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. So you said in the Old Testament,
Or not Old Testament. I meant New King James, and then there's the
well,
old version.
King James version is just an English translation. Right? It don't have nothing to do with King James, right? So, you know, in a different translation, it would say the same thing, but just worded different. So, I mean, hey, nowhere in the New Testament do you see Christ die for everybody. Nowhere. And if you think so, you have to show us, right?
I mean, I didn't bring my Bible on.
You got the phone on you, right? All right, so you have to show us where he died for everybody.
Oh, John 3:16. That was like the first one I put in.
Okay, so you think that means Christ died for everybody?
I mean, it says all mankind.
Well, go to Hebrews 1 and 2. All right, we're going to see. Hebrews 1 and 2.
So, real quick, before you start spitting out that book again, what's the whole point of all this?
Go to Ecclesiastes 12.
No, I meant, like, what are you guys pushing?
Well, we're pushing, we out here to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go to Isaiah 49 to restore the 12 tribes, right? To make them come back to the commandments before America is destroyed. That's what we out here to teach and to do. Isaiah 49, 6, right?
It's the book of Isaiah chapter 49 verse 6. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob.
Right, to raise up the tribes of Jacob.
And to restore the preserved of Israel.
Right, we out here to restore our people, right? That's why we asked you what your nationality was, because we didn't know if you could be an Israelite or not, right? That's what we out here to do. And we out here to tell the other nations that they going into slavery when Christ comes back.
Who the fuck is saying Jesus is a white guy?
The whole world. The whole earth.
That's nothing
Oh,
new.
hell no.
That's nothing new. Everybody.
What you think he is? Drink this. I know what you gonna say.
He's born in the Middle East and he's Jewish. He's obviously brown. Like,
Well,
living within a couple kilometers of
how do you
Egypt.
think he looks though?
It describes him in the book. Dark skin, hair of horse, dark eyes.
Hair, wool, right, like a sheep. You know, so Christ is a so-called Negro. Go to Acts 13:1. You know Barnabas and Simeon was called niggas. You know that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
Well, I don't think it's pronounced like. I'm not gonna say that.
Oh,
it's not
it is
pronounced.
like that. We gonna
In
pull it
that
up.
translation, maybe, but there's also.
In other translations, the NLT, it says the black man. That's what.
That's why I was. In Spain, where the word originates from, it means the man of coal, like a coal miner. That's what you would call him because he's covered in black soot.
Actually, this is a Latin word, right? So it originated in Rome. You know, this is the Latin word for nigger. All they did was in English they added an extra G. Right? Watch this. Acts 13:1. Put it up in here.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called nigger.
That was called what?
That was called nigger.
Right? That was called nigger.
No,
Right? So this is how you. This the word in the Strong's lexicon. All right, so that's what the prophets was called. So Christ, he was a Jew, right? Just like Barnabas and Simeon. Christ was a so-called Negro, you know, right? Everybody believes he's white. I don't know why you said that. Who believes that?
I got a picture of Jesus in my house. Just maybe 2 shades lighter than him. That's about it.